name's Laura, and today we're going to be looking at and identifying a number of urban stone structures. The kind of intact stones used in building construction must be solid enough to be cut and shaped into blocks. So limestone, including marble, sandstone, slate, and granite, are the principal rock types used in building stones, or as they're commonly referred to, dimension stones. This is a field guide used to identify pebbles, and it can be used to determine the identity of a rock you find on the beach, or in our case, to identify the stones in these urban structures. The first structure we'll be identifying here today is the Lemieux Library here at SU. In order to identify what kind of rock we're looking at, we're going to start by looking at the description of an igneous rock. Igneous rocks are formed from the cooling of magma and from other volcanic activity. And so the first characteristic that we're going to look at, the interlocking crystals of different minerals. So we see here there's not a lot of interlocking crystals. It's kind of a pretty uniform facade. So we're going to move on to the next characteristic, which is that it's generally not layered or banded. And so we do see a lot of layers and bands right here, and so that's not going to be igneous. But we're going to still go on to the third one, which is that it's hard and heavy, and we're not going to really be able to determine that because we are looking at a building. When deciding if a rock is sedimentary, you need to look for the first characteristic, which is the rounded grains that show evidence the sediments have been cemented together. So we're looking here, and there's not a lot of visible particles, so we're going to say that's a no. The next characteristic for a sedimentary rock is fossils, and we don't see any fossils in here, so we're going to move on to the next characteristic, which is layers, and they're often of different sizes, and there's different grain sizes because of the separation of the particles as the sediments accumulate. And we don't really see a lot of different particle sizes in the layers. They're pretty compact and pretty uniform, although we do see layers. The last type of rock is metamorphic rock, and metamorphic rocks are formed with a combination of heat and pressure applied to sedimentary rocks or igneous rocks, and it changes their composition. So the first characterization of a metamorphic rock is the minerals that align to make flat, shiny surfaces, and we don't really see too much of that. It's pretty dull here, so that's a no. So we're going to move on to the next classification. And so the layers of light and dark interlocking crystals. We don't see the individual crystals so much, but we definitely see a lot of dark and light layers that are alternating. So we'll say that's a yes. And the folding of layers that may be visible. So we definitely see the layers, and they do have a lot of sort of curving, and there's a little bit of folding in some areas. So we're going to say yes for that. So it looks like we found that this is a metamorphic rock. And so now we're going to take a look at the pictures and try to match them up to what the building looks like. So none of these are an exact match. So we're going to take a look at the next page, and we look at the marble here, and there are the dark and light layers that are alternating, and it has the same sort of luster, and so we're going to identify this building as a marble building.